Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Real Brave Live.
Hello.
Number what?
89.
89. Ho ho. I'll be 89 when I pay off my mortgage. Today we're going to talk about disco. This little tiny genre of music that enraged and made a lot of people really happy. The music of the early 70s evolved from this rhythmic and social foundation of funk to make what a lot of music enthusiasts seem to think as crappy music. And we're going to talk about that today here on...
Real Brave Live.
Did you have the wah going? Oh, there it is. I thought this would be an interesting topic because you're a big funker.
I'm
You're
a
gigantic
funk head. I'm a funky guy.
funker.
I like to funk.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Who wants the funk?
I want the funk. We want the funk.
Do you
We
need the funk?
want the funk. I don't need the funk.
Gotta have the funk.
I was in a funk band for a bit
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, and didn't go over anywhere.
Well, by that point, funk had died.
Yeah.
Yes.
George Clinton would beg to differ.
Well, George Clinton is actually going to be at. Where is he going this year? He's at a festival.
Still alive?
I think he's at Riot Fest actually.
I believe so, yeah. He doesn't play, I think, Central Park, maybe? He's playing someplace around here.
Good for him.
Somewhere close to here.
This also arose out of the our YouTube shorts. We did there's some mild interest in one of our shorts about Disco Demolition Night. Ever heard of that?
No.
Yes.
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 So
very
I'm a
famous.
baseball fan. Are you No, you're not. You're a baseball fan.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a fan. I just don't
You
follow it at all.
How many home runs does Judge have right now?
60.
Very good. Yeah, very good. You're not allowed to talk about baseball anymore.
He has less than Pete Alonso right now, that's all I know.
Pete Alonso has how many?
20.
Well, look
What
at
about-
you. Pete Alonso's a good ball player.
What about Mark McGuire, though?
Mark McGuire did a lot of drugs to
Oh.
get himself big.
How about that Sammy Sosa guy?
Yep.
Same.
Wow.
And he has vitiligo.
Oh.
Have you seen pictures of Sammy Sosa?
No, I have not.
You should do that right now.
Is that where his skin loses
Should
pigmentation?
I do a live reaction shot?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Let me.
Yeah, you got to see pictures of Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa, friend of the show.
Okay,
Sammy, if you're watching,
Right.
please
Camera's on me.
comment.
I'm looking Sammy Sosa 2023. Hang on.
Sammy Sosa, famously baseball player in the
Oh my
90s.
goodness.
Oh my goodness!
Not what I
Whoa.
expected.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
reaction shot from our producer, Brian.
Everybody's trying to figure out if he was a disco artist. He's not. But so I would like to talk about Disco Demolition Night. I'd like to talk about funk. But most importantly, I'd like to get your opinion because it means a lot, Kevin, on disco.
Disco generally is unoffensive to me. I
Okay.
really like the Bee Gees. I think there's a really fine line between funk and disco, and I think that line can be drawn by a string section.
So that's really the thing. It's a string section with a downbeat.
Yeah.
Because like if you the foundations are funk within many of the songs, except for
Yeah.
the Bee Gees.
Yeah, I mean, funk you hear in the rhythm section, drums and bass, a little bit more syncopation.
Uh-huh.
Disco is a little bit more straight ahead, easier, one would argue, to dance to, because you just get really solid
4 on the floor.
Yeah, four on the floor kind of stuff. Whereas funk, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more complexity rhythmically. It doesn't stray too far from that, but it's. I mean, you still have like the hallmark of wah guitar.
Yeah. What is that thing you got there?
So this down here at my feet, which none of you viewers at home can see.
Oh, wait. If I move my head, the wide shot can get it.
So this guy down here, it's called a wah pedal, and what it does is it goes wah.
there's a little guy in it.
Wah. There's a little guy in there pulling levers, and he takes the sound of the guitar and he listens to it and he translates it and he says wah.
You know what his name is?
Wah.
Wally.
That's it. There it is. What it does is, so it limits on both ends, the bottom end and the top end, depending on where your foot is in position on the pedal. If it's leaned back on the pedal, then it's limiting the high end treble sounds, and you get more of like a not a bassier tone, but it just cuts out those trebles. And then on the other end, it cuts out the low end, right? So
It's a filter.
it's a filter. Thank you.
Yes, that's what it does.
And
And it's a wah filter.
It filters out the
High and low
end.
pass filter.
Yes,
essentially.
thank you. Famous wah pedal riffs.
Please.
Eh.
Yeah.
Or
Is that disco?
that's not disco.
What's that?
That's rock.
Yeah, so what's the difference between rock and disco?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Dan. So
You have a canned answer for me?
while rock was countercultural movement, rebellion, and anti-establishment sentiments associated with social and political activism, reflecting the era's social changes and influence on fashion, lifestyles, and idea of the rock star as an iconoclastic figure. Disco,
You're not reading that, are you?
no. It's resistance from rock-oriented radio stations, DJs, and some music critics. Accusations of being manufactured, lacking artistic merit, and promoting superficiality.
May I butt in here for a second?
You can butt in.
Please, God.
Okay. I take big issue with that
Oh,
because
what did I say?
not you said whoever wrote the notes that we are using.
Right.
Whatever. What is this? Forbes.
Dan.
And that's a family name. Did you go to Forbes?
Yeah,
For
it's
that-
Business
that
Insider.
No, it was a movement that was primarily run by and for minorities. It was Black, Hispanic, and queer people making
Yes.
that music.
There is a
And
portion
so-
of that in here.
And so the white mainstream press saw it as a used disco as a something to villainize groups of people, not just the music. And so I'm not saying that you were doing that, obviously, but I think that looking at disco as a
Are you calling me unwoke?
no, I'm not calling it unwoke. But I think that looking at disco as something that without artistic merit has some
There's roots in like bigotry and
Yes.
and fear.
Yeah,
exactly.
of course. Disco started as a mixture of music from venues popular with the LGBTQ Americans prior to that acronym.
Right.
Apparently Italian Americans, Hispanic, and Latino Americans, and Black Americans in Philadelphia and New York City during the late 1960s and early 70s. It could be seen as reaction from the 1960s counterculture. That's what you were trying to get at before.
Yes.
The dominance of rock music and the stigma of dance music at the time.
I mean, you can look at it like if music music to me is more of a web than a tree, but you can look at like the split. If we were looking at it like a tree, like, you know, rock came from what? It came from the blues, which came from like early America, a culmination of Western European harmonies and African rhythms
Yes.
in the way of slave song and field song and African American spirituals.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where rock emerged from, is from the blues. The blues split into rock and roll and country, right? And whereas rock and roll was more like black urban, country was more like white rural, right? So as rock developed, we started to get into wah, and we started to get into funk, and so there was like another divergence there, rock and funk. And George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, was like right in the middle of those two, right? But like James Brown really took it funk, and funk went more R&B, urban, black than rock did. But then funk split. And then you got like mainline funk and then disco, right? So disco it comes from funk, which comes from rock, which comes from blues. But if you follow those trajectories, you find, you know, rock continued on into what we know today. Like, you know, it went classic rock, metal, hair metal, and then got crushed by grunge, and then alternative, and then somehow Imagine Dragons. And then funk, disco became dance music, became your Madonna, became just pop, You know, it was something that was. I mean, there's a little bit of merit to that. It was.
It presented a marked departure from guitar-driven political expression.
Right, and it leaned more into marketability and
Well, free. It was like a free. Not only just a free spirit, but it was an expression of joy and escape from all the nonsense that
Sure.
people were going through during that time.
sure, yeah.
Speaking of mainlining,
Yeah.
that's where the two separate different drug cultures came in.
Yep.
You like that, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
getting good at those.
That's these are this is Dan's dark days, by the way. If this was a VH1 documentary. Speaking of mainlining, this guy. Drugs played, obviously a huge role in a lot of different types
for
of
both sides. It was different.
Yeah, I
much
mean,
different.
the disco eventually became synonymous with was it Studio 54
Yep.
and cocaine.
The cane,
Cocaine.
the Hurricanes.
Cocaine, which is a drug derived from the coca leaf.
Sure.
Oh wait.
Do you know what the first disco songs were in the early 70s? So I've done a little bit of research on this, and I can't get an obvious answer.
I think it's probably hard to come up with like what the first one is.
Well,
because-
successful.
First successful one?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
First song's Soul Mukasa. Makossa is the first discotheque record. Discotheque meaning that's the place where this is
Right.
you're kind of dancing at. It came out of like the World War II era where people were we're gonna go to the discotheque, see? We're gonna have some cigarettes and some whiskey, see? And you're gonna come with me, see? And we're gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
commercial-
it.
That commercial on YouTube is truly the first disco track.
Oh, this is a ad from UPS, and I just want to say real quick to all of our fans, and because we're very influential, we have dozens of followers now.
At least.
UPS is the worst way to ship any item.
Yeah, well, if you get sucked into the Ponzi scheme of insurance.
Oh, I'm so glad I got the insurance because they broke both of our packages. We'll recoup money from one of them
Yeah.
because we didn't immediately throw away the box that was crushed.
We're standing in the airport, and I call to find out the status of our delivery, which is late. And I'm standing there like this. Kevin doesn't hear anything, and all of a sudden you hear me say, "So, what did I say?"
So when you say crushed, man,
Yeah. And then it's just a picture. He sends, I'm going to send you a picture. It's just like, but inside it was okay, except for the lights. The lights are a little rough.
so we have stage lights, and they broke.
Yeah.
I mean, the lights work, but like the casing, the body of it.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Soul Mukasa. It's got that funk thing
Like
going
it's-
on.
Yeah, I would just to my ear this sounds funkier than disco
Yeah.
ear.
But generally, Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation is considered to be the first true disco hit.
Don't rock the boat, baby.
Don't
Rock the boat. I mean, yeah, I would call that funk. Wait, before we move on to rock the boat, is there?
There's got to be strings. That's what defines it.
There it is.
That's
but those
horns.
Those are funk stings, and that's all syncopated. I mean, come on.
Generally, the
that's
Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation is considered to be the first true disco hit.
the Hughes.
The Hughes Corporation. It's very famous.
Yeah.
Tip the boat over.
Tip the boat over, sink the Titanic.
Oh, I thought it was Hughes, like Langston.
But it's like hue like color, HUE.
Yes.
Okay.
We have hold music. Oh, there we go.
I don't know if we can hear this at home.
We can't.
No, we can't, and that's a good thing, legally speaking.
It's like
I'd like to know where.
Yeah.
don't rock the boat, baby.
Rock the boat.
It's interesting because this to me does not sound like funk at all. I mean, obviously there are elements that are the same, but it doesn't really sound like funk, right? Like that last song sounded like a funk track.
Yeah.
This doesn't really. This sounds much more like sort of AM radio.
So we could talk about also funk having a closer root to the blues, tonally speaking, right? The last one we listened to was a G dominant 9, right? And that gives us as the content of like what key we're in, which G blues. This is a nice happy E flat major. Don't rock the boat, baby, rock the boat. Don't tip the boat over, rock the boat. And then it's a little bit more conventional diatonic harmony. Yeah, right.
Thanks for that analysis, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that analysis.
But you could say that is more of a characteristic of disco, is that it's, I mean, not always in a major key, but like in a diatonic key, major or minor. Whereas funk leans more heavily on the blues, which is like neither this nor that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We could say that that's a blues lick right there, and that's minor third, major third, right?
Well, the emergence of disco, rock versus disco in the 70s, didn't have much impact on sales for rock artists because of the top 10 artists that sold the most records. ABBA came in at number 6.
Okay.
And the rest of them are just rock. I mean, they're rock records.
And I don't know if I'd necessarily call ABBA disco. There's obviously disco elements to ABBA.
Bee Gees. I'm sorry, the Bee Gees,
Bee
too.
Gees, okay.
Bee Gees at number 9.
Okay.
I would argue that ABBA is very disco-y.
They are like...
Well, listen to there's a lot of ABBA songs that aren't disco songs. Listen to Waterloo, that's not a disco song in the slightest. Or, I mean, like Dancing Queen obviously is a big disco song, but I don't know. I think maybe what I'm trying to say is maybe they transcend disco. Maybe they're not like just a disco band. They're bigger than a disco band.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know,
They've got their feet in multiple
like the
camps.
Bee Gees, the Bee Gees too. My favorite Bee Gees songs are from like the 60s. They're before they went. Yeah. I'm more of like To Love Somebody. That's a great song.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I don't understand how the perceived shallowness of disco is something that like actually stuck. 'Cause the musicianship, it's terrific. If you compare that against some of the hip hop that's out today, that's been made in like on a laptop.
A lab top.
It's like bing 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 bing.
Well, so like a lot of where hip hop is today came from. Well, where it came from is sampling funk tracks, right? So like funk split off into disco and hip hop. You know, where it is today, it's a little bit more electronic. Beats are made, kind of like in mass, and people can just buy beats and use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where we're going in as far as music creation is concerned, nobody knows. But let me
Here's one.
hit this. Did you get to see our YouTube short on Disco Demolition Day?
No,
You're not following it?
I am following it.
How dare you? Worked very hard on it. Other songs, George McRae, Rock Your Baby, was a massive international hit. That was another song you can argue as one of the first.
Wait, what is Demolition Day?
So I think it's 1979.
Yeah. So it was
Whenever it was, a DJ in Chicago that was a prominent rock DJ had organized Disco Demolition Night between 2 games of a White Sox doubleheader, and he was collecting disco records on the field and blew them up.
Wow.
Blew it up so badly they had to forfeit the second game of the doubleheader because the field was unusable.
Yeah.
Sure.
They used way too much explosives.
Disco Demolition was Thursday, July 12th, 1979 at the old Comiskey Park. That ended in a riot, too.
And that's so that was like, was rock declaring war on disco?
Yes,
is that what that was?
Yeah. Yeah. Many had come to see the explosion rather than the games and rushed onto the field after the detonation. There's really Ramiro got video of it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
there-
I'm sure we're able to use it.
There might be a 30 for 30. There's a documentary out there about this event. and
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
The guy that owned the Chicago White Sox was Looney Tunes.
Yes.
He was a weirdo. He did all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen the Chicago White Sox uniforms.
From that era when they had collars,
Yeah.
shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a baseball fan, you'd appreciate it. Kevin, I'm sure you appreciate it very much.
What was didn't the White Sox do a free beer night or the 5-cent beer night
Probably.
that got and it just
Probably.
got like overrun? They didn't have enough police and people just went crazy.
Well, that's essentially Disco Demolition Night, too. They didn't have enough security there, and it just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm never listening to. So that aside, so listening to disco personally reminds me of a bar at 4:00 in the morning, and I want to go home.
Huh.
That's what it reminds
So
me
you
of.
weren't
That
there,
and
you weren't
Jimmy
there
Buffett.
in the prime days. Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah. As soon as Margaritaville comes on, it's time to go home.
That's
That's a good rule to live by.
Oh, gotta go.
Can I pull that at like family barbecues too?
Yes. Yes.
I was at a bachelor party recently. We went to a restaurant and we walked in and we heard somebody playing guitar and we were like, ugh. And then they started playing Margaritaville and we were like, ugh.
The man made millions, hundreds of tens of millions.
Well, yeah, he's
dozens
built
of
an
millions.
empire off of that song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now he has retirement homes called Margaritaville.
Yeah, yeah.
It's brilliant. I just find what I
Rich
didn't
white
understand
moms.
to be like one of the things that was going to come out of this little bit of research I did was the involvement or like the marginalized communities that were involved in the disco movement, such as gay folks from the 70s, but Village People, right?
Yeah.
Were they all gay?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Brian?
I don't know.
Brian, tell us if they were gay or not.
I'll do some research.
Okay,
You guys
thank
keep
you.
talking. I'll do some research.
Thank you.
Just tread lightly on Google image search. That's all I would say.
You think my phone isn't infected by other things already? Come
So the man, I wrote a paper on this
On the Village People?
on disco.
You did?
Yeah.
And you were so against us going on stage to talk about this?
No, I wasn't against it at all.
Did you do part of your paper, which is what I want to know?
It was about
the marginalized communities.
Yes.
Really?
So the course was called Rock Music, Diversity, and Justice, and it covered popular music from like the 40s
Yes.
on. And there was like a whole chapter on disco and the effect that it had on the gay community, and how YMCA's were like a place where gays would go.
Yeah.
I think treading lightly again. Disco.
Because I couldn't find much on it. That's why I asked Brian.
Assignment 12.
on. I'm not finding much on it either.
I can't find it. That's what I mean. So like the notion that it was part of the cultural movement makes sense, but I can't find any research, or like I can find some facts, but it's to say that it was based on that. The most famous people weren't necessarily gay.
I mean, the lead singer of the Village People was married to Felicia Rashad.
Oh.
So at least one member of the Village People was not gay.
Right.
Was he the construction worker?
No, he was the
Police officer.
I believe he was a police officer.
He was the police officer.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey guys,
No,
what
sorry,
do you-
sorry. I
what's our
believe he
shtick
was-
gonna be?
He was the naval officer or police officer. They would go back and forth.
Oh,
It
okay.
was,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I. But the second.
Now, does that violate the Stolen Valor Act, where one cannot dress up as a law enforcement or armed service member? Because
I can't believe you're asking me this question.
Yep.
Seriously, I believe as long as it's on stage, you're okay. Like it's a crazy question to be asked. Of all the things that I'd be asked in the podcast, do the Village People violate the Stolen Valor principle or whatever? That's
well, I mean, because look, our armed service members and our our military members, they deserve.
I'm sure it falls under some sort of gray area under the.
any excuse to play that theme song.
Your Honor. It appears as though
Who is this character?
I don't know.
This is
The lawyer
Law and
from the
Order
1950s.
Cockney. Oh, it's a 50s guy.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Listen, see.
Viewer, what do you think? Did the Village People break the law by dressing up as armed service members?
I would say that it falls into the same category as like if you were in a play and you were playing a police officer,
or if you were a stripper and you come to a bachelorette party.
Was
and
one
say,
of the guys that was in the Village People a stripper?
uh,
Dressed as a stripper?
Brian?
I don't believe
Brian?
so. I don't believe so.
Brian's the authority on the Village People, having been to many shows. Yeah, I
Coming
mean,
soon from Real Brave, a disco remix of the Law and Order theme song.
I got
Actually,
nothing.
there's a lot of cop shows that used funk music in there.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
hallmark. Yeah. Like I can't even Matlock.
Matlock was from the 80s, friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Columbo, possibly.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of 70s movies lately. I'm reading Quentin Tarantino's book, which is about all 70s movies. And all those movies that are like car chase movies all have some funk soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, just grungy, gross. Everything looked dirty. It makes me feel better about living in New York City or around New York City. Because you look at some of those, like the early 70s clips, I wanted nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do
And
with
then who
that.
came up and cleaned up the city? Was that
It's one Rudolph Giuliani.
that was Giuliani?
Yeah, Mr. Giuliani. And then he went crazy.
Yeah, now he's melting.
Slowly melting.
Friend of the show. So.
Big friend of the show.
Thanks
wish
for
him
your
well.
support, Rudy.
So the conclusion of this, folks.
Well, let me ask you guys a
Yes.
question here. So, I think with some genres that go through these brief spells of popularity,
Yeah.
they sort of disappear right after a while. But their influence, I think, carries on through other music. Do you hear disco on the radio today? Like, do you hear the influence of disco still working its way through pop music, or has it somewhat dissipated? Obviously, for a while there, you were. I mean, the Rolling Stones, Kiss, all these rock bands, Rod Stewart had disco hits.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But after that, like, are you still hearing the echoes of disco in modern music?
Yes, because it made a comeback recently.
Bruno Mars, I feel like, has
Yeah.
some disco elements. Especially with
Gaga?
his new side project with, what's his name? Lady Gaga, for sure, yeah.
Lady Goo Goo Gaga.
Goo Goo Gaga.
It's one
Friend-
of my friends. Friend of the show,
friend of the
Goo Goo
show.
Gaga.
Thanks for watching.
New Jersey native.
Really?
Yeah.
believe so. I might just be confused because she was on The Sopranos. I might just be confusing.
She's definitely a New Yorker,
Okay.
I think.
Well, she was on The Sopranos, so she's an honorary New Jerseyan.
She was on The Sopranos?
She was.
They shot a scene from an episode of The Sopranos at my cousin's house.
Wow.
My mom met James Gandolfini.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's my
That-
my impression.
That's your Gandolfini impression?
Yeah.
Carmela, I said no pulp.
I like
Says
when
pulp.
it has some pulp.
Yeah, I mean, it made it somewhat of a like in the early 2020s, mid 2020s, it made like somewhat of a comeback with some of these artists. But I mean, I don't know. You can't redo that. You can't make it any better. It is what it is, as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
the musicianship was good. Like you can't argue that.
Their arranging and producing was actually
Yeah.
really good too, yeah.
Do I like it? No. But
why would you?
do you like it?
Nah, not really.
Not really, right?
The
The Bee Gees are very irritable.
I brought my
Great
bass out.
songwriters, though, right?
Oh, amazing songwriters.
But
Yes.
the songs, I mean, I mean the way that they came across.
Disco kind of saw the proliferation of
That makes me very nervous.
songs being written by people other than the performers. You know what I mean?
What are we doing, Kevin?
But that was happening back in Tin Pan Alley in the 50s too. That's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Tin Pan Alley, jazz standards, songs that are written by the performers.
But
Yeah.
even like in the 60s, you look at people like Neil Diamond and Carole King and Carol Bayer Sager, these songwriters that were writing hits for lots of people.
Yeah, but like a proliferation then after that and onward of like, okay, here's the pretty face we're going to put on this new record. and here's the team of songwriters. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? This is a bass guitar.
Oh, what is a bass guitar?
It's like a big guitar,
With thicker strings. How many strings does it have?
4 strings.
And what else does it do, Kevin?
It goes.
So there's different ways to play a bass guitar.
Yeah, I know it's really loud. But funk and disco saw
Yeah.
a lot of slap bass.
How do you do that slapping
Uh,
thing?
I don't know if you can see me right now, but
You
I
can.
hit the string with this part of my thumb, and I also pop it.
Pop it, smack it, flip it. You remember that game? Look at that.
That's funk.
That's funk.
This is also funk.
I never heard you play the old slappy bass.
This would be like funk or disco.
But then you have to have the strings above that. Yeah.
Yeah. But bass is a very rhythmic instrument, you know? Even going back to like the stand-up bass of jazz ensembles, it's like it was on the one. What was it? Jungle Boogie.
Nice.
That was not jazz, but it was walking jazz bass. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Really, really like locked in where the beat was, along with the drums. Hi hat on 2 and 4.
Yep.
And as you know, music evolved, and as the instrument evolved, and people who played it evolved, you know, it became more so. Like I look at the bass as if it's like it's the middleman between, you know, the harmony and the rhythm. It's like a guitar with a drum set, you know. And when you get to funk, and you get to disco, it becomes such like a critical role in the ensemble. The band Wolfpack. They are a current band and funk revivalists to boot. With the bass player Joe Dart, incredible bass player. I saw him a couple of times now, and he's just like he's got such a.
He's one of those basses that plays like this, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of basses play like this, but
Yeah.
you can he's gonna have neck problems because of like how
Right,
aggressively
right.
he's playing along with. But man, can that guy play?
Joe Dot. So it's come full circle, even in the past couple of years. Dua Lipa, my goodness. Don't Start Now. But they brought in all these kind of like elements of the 70s era. Disco, Lady Gaga, Doja Cat,
Yeah, Doja Cat.
all that stuff. What is your... this is my opinion, but what do you think is going to happen in the future? Do you think we're going to see a reemergence again of the disco?
As long as people like to dance, yeah.
Yep.
Probably.
I think we're going to have an AI infused world
Oh, sure.
where you're going to have Donna Summer singing whatever it is, but just her voice over like something else that was created in the current day. And it's going to be just this amalgamation of different genres, hip-hop and all that. It's just going to all come together to be this giant thing. But it's all going to be computers and no more human beings. The end.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Sure. It would be cheaper
Yeah.
for producers to just have a.
I mean, to be fair, like, with what you're saying, I don't disagree with you either. I think we're going to see some more stuff like that. But that was already happening with mashup culture. It
Mhm.
was just taking humans to do it.
Right.
Right.
That's just eliminating the humans from the equation.
But they're going to take it's a step forward from the mixtape culture, which is going to be you're going to take the music that was done in the past, just like the thing I showed you with the Beatles.
yeah.
You're going to take an existing song, you're going to put it on a new song, or maybe an existing song. You're going to smash them together. It's going to sound like a new thing because nobody's ever heard it before, and that's it. It's scary. I mean, to me, it's scary. You ever see the Arnold Schwarzenegger Wizard of Oz thing.
No.
They superimposed his face on Dorothy, and he was singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Really painful to look
There's
at.
like home.
Over the rainbow.
So painful to look
Yeah.
at. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if music is a vehicle for human expression, then we lose something when AI starts doing it, for sure.
Well, it's just a matter of time before man becomes machine.
I would like to see AI write anything close to anything Radiohead has written. You know what I mean? And it probably could with, like,
It's
Creep.
going to. It's going to be better.
I don't
I don't know if it'll be better.
It's going to be better.
It'll be
It's going to
different.
be created by people that know how to write code in the way that it learns, and that's when we get. That's when Terminator happens, and then the world is over.
But do these people who write code also know how to write music?
They're probably all musicians,
You think
as
so?
we've seen.
You think so?
Yeah, our developers are all musicians.
That's true. That's true.
They're all of them. One's he was like a really successful traveling pianist, and then this other guy that did the video room. He's a musician.
Who was the pianist? Was that Matthew?
The guy with the long hair looks like Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Marty.
Flarpy. Nope, not Marty. Flicky Muka.
I don't know if
Barp.
Flicky
This is great radio.
Moopa Barp.
His name is Locke. All right, I think that's all we got for today. What did we learn from today, Kevin?
I don't know. Something about. Oh, disco is different from rock. And how to slap bass.
Anyway, Real Brave is a music school online. You can, if you like something like this, which you probably don't, you could probably go online and check out Real Brave for wonderful online music instruction where you can learn disco and bass just like that from people that know how to do things. And this is just two or three or four guys in a room talking about music in the only way we know how, which is dissecting it and getting the facts wrong. Join us every week, Wednesdays-ish at 1-ish, 2-ish p.m. Eastern for more of this. And go to our YouTube. It's been catching on fire. We're going to hit 1,000 subscribers in a week and a half.
Really?
Yes. If it keeps going in the way it's going. We're at 800 now. So it's about 150, 200 every week and a half. It's pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah, and we're getting people commenting, liking. Of course, when we get things wrong, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part. Please join us every week. It's a pleasure to